We're looking at this book, and we're listening to what Shoemaker is saying. And here's what's exciting. He's coming to the same conclusions we're coming to. So what are those conclusions? Hold on. We'll show you.
We have unpacked a lot of material that came out of this book. But today, we are going to play the role of peer reviewers of some aspects of the book. And again, we're doing it in the spirit of academia. We're not trying to be negative or critical for any purpose other than just to highlight few things from our own knowledge and our own research. When I say ours, I'm talking about Dr. J. Smith and myself, along with the team that participate in these type of research. As you know, we've been investing a lot of energy lately on what we call the historical criticism of Islam, and some aspects in the book needs to be at least highlighted. And for that purpose, we have Dr. J. Smith with us here to do so. Dr. J, welcome back.
Thanks. Great to have back. And this is a problem. I think what we're going to bring up now, what we have found within the revisionist camp, sometimes there are disconnects. And it's good that we're bringing this up. And I don't know if Dr. Shoemaker is watching any of these programs. Maybe someone has said, are you aware of the fact that they're really pushing your book? Are they aware of the fact that they are unpacking it for the crowd and they're doing you a favor? I don't know if he's right here. If you are, hello, Dr. Shoemaker. But because what we want to do now is we want to start looking at his conclusions and then see what he does with those conclusions. So this may take more than one episode because there's some information that I want to bring out. So let's go back to his quotes. And
Okay.
Let's go back to page 230 of his book.
All right. What does it say in there?
And when you look at his book, and here's the book that we're talking about. This is the one that we've been going through. This is about the 57th episode that we're on now, and we're still unpacking. This is so full, and this is why I love this book. It's full of everything you need. But one of the things he does is he quotes the scholars. He quotes those who have been working at it much longer than he has. They spent their whole careers on it. And he stipulates that the standard Islamic narratives view, the traditional view, as he puts it, on the Quran's origins, we cannot trust. There's no way you can trust that view of what Mecca is, what the Hijaz is, about Yathrib, also if this man named Muhammad who's down there. And he says this, based on what we have seen so far, there is not much reason to place a great deal of confidence in the Islamic tradition's account of the Quran's origins. And we are left overall with little conviction in its reports concerning the Quran's historical matrix. Well, great. I'm glad he's come to that conclusion. You've come to that conclusion. I've come back to the conclusion. Now, he does say that the standard Islamic narrative is very clear that everything happened down in the Hijaz with Muhammad. Mm-hmm. But historians do not accept this anymore. It's the historians that are not accepting. So let's see what he says. And he says this on page 230. He says the Islamic tradition locates the Quran's genesis entirely in Mecca and Yathrib. So the first 12 years, 610 to 622, they're in Mecca. He moves from Mecca, going from Mecca to Medina with 880 to 200 people, depends on which tradition you're looking at. And then from 622 to 632, the last 10 years of his life, he's there in Yathrib, later called Medina, but still called Yathrib at this time. So the traditions locate the Quran, 610 to 632, always in those two cities. Mm-hmm. And within Muhammad's lifetime, he then dies in 632, and that's when the Quran is closed. And then he continues, yet all the Islamic historical tradition detail knowledge about Central Hijaz during the early 7th century was first recorded at least 100 years, if not many more after the fact. What are we talking about here?
So far, so good. It's talking about the fact that the biography of Muhammad was at least written about 130 years, give or take, after the life of Muhammad. And then most of it was lost. And then you have Ibn Hisham, about 180 years, technically speaking. Then you have the Hadith, 240 years. Then you have the Tafsir, about 300 years. So he's right on the right track here.
And you could even take it even further than that. Yeah. Where is Ibn Ishaq? We don't have anything about. Where is Ibn Hisham's Sirah? Where is there one document from the 9th century that he wrote? We don't have anything. In fact, are you aware, do you even know where Ibn Hisham's Sirah comes from?
Well, I
I
mean,
think we've talked about it once.
we did. I mean, I'm not really so sure. I mean, you can speculate a lot of things,
Okay,
technically speaking.
then where is the document for Ibn Hisham? That's what I'm asking.
Oh, I don't personally, I do not know where
Does
the
it exist?
original manuscript, I don't know.
There is no original manuscript. So how?
Because we know that at least we have an original manuscript or portions of a manuscript of Al-Bukhari that is 500 years after.
I'm not talking about Al-Bukhari. I'm talking about Ibn
But what I'm
Hisham.
saying, it seemed like there is even problem with the manuscripts of these documents.
Yes, but I'm talking about now the story of Muhammad himself.
Yeah.
We have nothing from Ibn Hisham. What we do have is Alfred Guillaume's book, Muhammad.
That's right.
The name Muhammad from Ibn Ishaq. Remember, it's right there. Alfred Guillaume writes it from Ibn Ishaq. Alfred Guillaume didn't get it from Ibn Ishaq.
That's right.
In fact, in the introduction, Alfred Guillaume makes it very clear that none of this comes from Ibn Ishaq, it comes from Ibn Hisham. He didn't get it from Ibn Hisham. None of this comes from Ibn Hisham. It comes from a German named Wustenfeld from 1860. That's 160 years ago. It was a German who in 2 years went to 4 different cities in Germany, nowhere else. He went to 4 different cities, went to the libraries in those cities, and he went into the different schools, into their different, he went into their, the museums in these 4 cities in Germany and grabbed bits and pieces written in Arabic, all from the Ottoman period. Now remember, the Ottoman period is from 1299 to 1924, that 600-year period. He's an Arabist himself. He grabbed this piece here, he grabbed this piece here, put this piece here, put it together, and he created the biography of Muhammad from German sources between 1858 and 1860. It took him 2 years to do that. That then he published in 1860. That is the biography that we use today, that you all read, we've all read, all of you have read. It is only 160 years old. Yet none of those fragments that he used can we trace back to Ibn Hisham, not one of them. It's only attributed to Ibn Hisham. Isn't that fascinating?
And I think that's the right word to say, attributed.
Okay, so here we have this history attributing to Ibn Hisham, right? And that's what he's saying. And that's not 100 years. Shoemaker's look and correct that. That is 200 years. Even if we go with Ibn Hisham, 833, that's 200 years after 632. So he continues, yet among critical historians today, these accounts of Mecca and Yathrib's history before and during Muhammad's prophetic career are a little more than pious fiction. Why? Because of what I just said. We have nothing. We have nothing from that time period. So with effectively no basis in any genuine historical memories. Obviously, there's no memories. There's nothing written from that part of the world. Why? Well, because of what we've been looking through. There's just nothing down there. 100 people maybe living in, a little few hundred people living in Yathrib. How can you create an entire civilization and an entire historical corpus, an entire theological corpus that we see represented in this book? With all the different discussions between Jews and Christians when there were no Jews and Christians that far south, not in the desert. And the reason they're not in the desert is because there's no water. You need water for people to live, and you need water for produce to happen, and you need water for towns and cities and then civilizations and then history to exist. So it's very clear that there's nothing. So this is how he concludes this. He says, since the beginning of the last century, critical scholars have come to recognize that the Islamic biographical traditions of Muhammad, even more so than the rest of the historical tradition, amount to little more than a devout reminiscence that developed over the centuries after his death. Given the highly artificial and unreliable nature of these biographical traditions, no critical scholar to date would venture to interpret the Qur'an through the lens of what amounts to be much later Islamic hagiography of Muhammad. And he's not even talking about Wustenfeld here. He's just talking about Ibn Hisham, 833, Al-Bukhari, 870, Muslim, 875, Tirmidhi, Ibn Dawud, then you have Al-Tabari, 923. He's talking about those traditions. That's 9th and 10th century. So he's only not even getting the more critical stuff, and that's the conclusion he has come to.
Right. And that's wonderful. And then I want us to hold off on any additional thoughts here until next episode, but where will you be headed from here in terms of that peer review?
Well, what I want to do is I want to start looking at what other people are saying besides Shoemaker, why he's even coming to this conclusion. Where did Shoemaker come to this conclusion? Because he's not making this up ex nihilo. He's not creating it out of thin air. He's actually quoting other scholars. Let's go to those other scholars. Let's see what they say to see if Shoemaker is correct. Because we have seen, and we've been quoting quite a few scholars up to date. Let's see what he says about this particular thing. And then, possibly, we may even have to go to a third episode on this. what does Shoemaker do next? And this is what's really surprising. But I'm going to hold it there so you don't come to any conclusions yet. Wait till we get there, and then we'll show you. It's a shocker. I'll just say that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's very important for us to highlight these conclusions because we want also people to know where he stood in terms of his own conclusion, where other scholars stood, and where we stand as well. I mean, there is nothing wrong, of course, to always interject our own thoughts based on the research that we've been doing. And, hopefully, Dr. Shoemaker himself might revisit that conclusion. You never know. Until next time, of course, you guys have heard what we will be covering. So I hope to see you again, and come prepared with your usual comments, interactions, and we covered also your prayers because this has been an amazing series, and we pray that you, our Muslim friends, and others will be benefiting from it. Till next time, this is Al-Fadi, over and out. God bless you. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel, Sira International, and click on the bell so that you receive notifications whenever we publish a new video or go live. I would also like to appeal to you to consider becoming a Patreon patron by clicking the link right below. By doing so, you can give towards the production of these videos. There are also other options for you where you can give to our channel. I thank you from the bottom of my heart.